he battled Bronson Reed in a hard-hitting contest that tested both men. And when Reigns emerged victorious, the crowd inside Paris La Défense Arena. This wasn't just a storyline cliffhanger. It was a moment that blurred lines between entertainment and genuine fear, shaking both the live audience and the WWE universe worldwide. The image that haunted WWE. The sight of Roman Reigns, who had main-evented 4 consecutive WrestleManias, shattered record books as the longest-reigning Universal Champion, and elevated WWE to new heights. Being loaded onto a stretcher was devastating. For over 3 years, Roman had been untouchable, his dominance cementing his aura as the face of the company. But in Paris, all of that was stripped away in seconds. Reed and Breaker's attack didn't just floor Roman, it shook the very foundation of the empire he built. Fans in attendance gasped, social media exploded with outrage, and industry insiders began asking whether WWE had allowed a spectacle to spiral out of control. Triple H witnesses the carnage. When Triple H, the chief content officer and the man steering WWE's modern creative direction, saw the replay backstage, his reaction was immediate and volcanic. Eyewitnesses described him standing frozen at first, jaw clenched and fists tightening, before storming into action. This wasn't just an executive reacting to a dramatic angle. It was a veteran of the ring who understood the fine line between entertainment and unacceptable violence. He had been in brutal wars himself, but what he saw crossed a threshold even he couldn't ignore. The game had spent years building WWE's reputation under his stewardship, and in one night, the images threatened to tarnish everything. The emergency meeting. Without hesitation, Triple H convened an emergency meeting with senior WWE officials, while Roman was still being treated by medical staff. According to multiple sources, the atmosphere in that meeting was tense, emotional, and unlike anything employees had experienced before. Triple H reportedly paced the room, firing questions about how security failed, why Reed and Breaker weren't ejected immediately, and how such a moment could happen under his leadership. His voice carried conviction when he allegedly told staff, "This is not how we do business in my WWE." Those words carried weight, not just because of their authority, but because of the possessive way he claimed ownership of WWE's culture and standards. The Paris Protocol. Out of that heated meeting came early drafts of what insiders are already calling the Paris Protocol, a set of guidelines aimed at preventing similar incidents from spiraling out of control. Triple H wanted clarity, stricter post-match security, faster response systems, and firmer lines between entertainment and recklessness. The idea wasn't to sanitize WWE or remove the intensity fans love, but to ensure performers weren't put at unnecessary risk in ways that blurred into real danger. By treating the situation with the seriousness of a sports league handling dangerous conduct, Triple H demonstrated a leadership style that balanced spectacle with responsibility. Locker room reactions. Word of Triple H's fury spread like wildfire through the locker room, leaving superstars unsettled. Some veterans praised his decisive stance, relieved that he was drawing lines to protect performer safety. Others whispered concerns, wondering whether his crackdown might soften WWE's edge. But the unifying sentiment was fear. Fear of crossing a man whose reputation for discipline and accountability is legendary. As one unnamed talent reportedly put it, when Triple H gets this angry, careers can be made or destroyed, depending on how you respond. For Reed and Breaker, summoned to private meetings described as career-defining, the stakes couldn't be higher. The fallout for Reed and Breaker Bronson. Reed and Bron Breaker had built reputations as dangerous forces on the rise, but their decision to attack Roman post-match carried consequences beyond anything they expected. Triple H's evaluation reportedly involved hours of reviewing footage, consulting medical staff, and considering potential legal and corporate implications. The options on the table ranged from suspensions to heavy fines, and even mandatory counseling to reinforce professional standards. If these two want to act like criminals, they can face real consequences, Triple H allegedly told officials. This was more than a disciplinary decision. It was about setting an example that no star, no matter how talented, was above WWE's code of conduct. The locker room divide. As Triple H's stance became clear, two camps emerged among WWE's performers. One group applauded him, believing the company had to protect its superstars from reckless attacks that could shorten careers. They argued that talent longevity was worth more than shocking moments. Another camp, however, quietly worried that Triple H's firm hand might water down WWE's unpredictable edge, the very ingredient that keeps fans on their toes. For them, the Paris incident was brutal but memorable, and they feared new rules might box in the kind of chaos that makes wrestling magical. This philosophical divide is likely to shape locker room dynamics for months to come. The personal connection. For Triple H, this wasn't just business, it was personal. His relationship with Roman Reigns extends beyond storylines. He has stood by Roman during health struggles, celebrated his rise, and seen firsthand the impact he's had on WWE's global brand. To watch Roman Reigns lying bruised and uncertain of his return timeline was, for Triple H, not just a professional crisis, but a deeply personal one. Backstage reports suggest he personally visited Roman in the medical area, telling him, "This happened on my watch, and it's my responsibility to fix it." That level of accountability only deepened respect for Triple H among veterans who know how rare such leadership is in this business. The Paris attack as a cultural turning point. The response to the Paris incident may well define Triple H's creative tenure. For years, WWE has walked the fine line between dramatic storytelling and real-life risk. The Paris attack forced the company to ask, where is the line? By choosing to treat it with the gravity of a sports league punishing dangerous conduct, Triple H positioned WWE as both entertainment and a professional workplace where safety matters. His leadership in this moment is being studied not just by wrestling insiders, but by sports and entertainment organizations beyond WWE. It's a blueprint for balancing intensity with responsibility, proving that modern wrestling can be thrilling without sacrificing performer well-being. The human impact. Beyond the policies and backstage meetings, what makes the Paris incident so powerful is the human impact it leaves behind. Roman Reigns, who has carried WWE on his shoulders for years, suddenly finds himself sidelined and vulnerable. For over a decade, fans have seen him as a symbol of strength, dominance, and resilience. A man who overcame every obstacle, whether it was physical challenges in the ring or his very real health battles outside of it. To see him stretchered out, bruised, and uncertain of when or if he can return, strips away the aura of invincibility that defined him. It's not just about a superstar missing time. It's about the collapse of the centerpiece around which WWE has revolved. His family faction, the Bloodline, is fractured, with Jey and Jimmy Uso emotionally shaken, Solo Sikoa caught between ambition and loyalty, and Paul Heyman's motives under suspicion. For Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, the moment could be career-defining. Some say they seized the spotlight, turning themselves into headline attractions, while others argue they crossed a line that could haunt them for years. And for Triple H, the responsibility is twofold: protect the brand and protect the man who has been its cornerstone. His leadership is being tested not in a boardroom, but in the way he responds to a fallen soldier who has given everything to this industry. The broader implications for WWE. In the weeks that followed Clash in Paris, the ripple effects have been felt across the company. WWE's creative team had to scramble to rework long-term storylines, especially those involving the Bloodline, which had been the dominant narrative for nearly 3 years. Merchandise tied to Roman's reign had to be adjusted, live event marketing reshaped, and even pay-per-view posters redesigned to reflect his absence. For fans, The uncertainty sparked endless speculation. How long will Roman be out? Who steps up in his place? And is this the chance for a new star to be made? But beneath the speculation lies a bigger question. Is WWE entering a new era under Triple H, one that balances the drama fans love with professional standards that ensure longevity? The so-called Paris Protocol, guidelines to prevent similar attacks from crossing the line, reflects this possible shift. Wrestling has always thrived on chaos, but Triple H seems determined to refine the chaos, making violence impactful without being reckless, ensuring that the spectacle doesn't come at the expense of sustainability. If successful, this approach could redefine WWE's identity, not just as entertainment, but as a modern professional league that protects its stars while still thrilling its audience. The public statement and waiting insiders are buzzing about something unprecedented. Triple H, considering a direct address to the WWE universe about what happened in Paris. Normally, WWE thrives on blurring the lines, presenting everything as storyline, even when reality creeps in. But this time, the chief content officer seems prepared to break that fourth wall, stepping out not as the game or a character, but as an executive, addressing the audience with transparency. If he goes forward, it would signal a shift in how WWE communicates with its fans, treating them not just as viewers, but as stakeholders in the company's culture. A public statement could also serve as a warning shot to the locker room. Brutality that endangers careers won't be excused as part of the show. Such a moment would cement Triple H's leadership style as accountable, serious, and deeply invested in his roster's well-being. It would also reinforce that WWE, under his watch, isn't afraid to admit when lines are crossed, and that it is committed to learning from mistakes. For fans, this could restore faith that behind the spectacle, there's a genuine respect for the performers who put their bodies on the line. Roman's recovery as priority. While the corporate wheels turn, Triple H has made one thing clear: Roman's recovery comes first. Reports indicate that no expense is being spared in ensuring he has access to world-class medical treatment and the time he needs to fully heal before stepping back into the ring. This is significant in an industry where performers are often rushed back into action too quickly, risking further injury for short-term ratings. By prioritizing Roman's health, Triple H is not only protecting a top star, but also sending a message to the entire locker room. WWE's new era values people before profits. Fans who have supported Roman through his battles with leukemia and celebrated his triumphant returns know his resilience, but they also recognize the importance of patience. The company is leaning into that patience, framing Roman's eventual return not as a question of if, but when, building anticipation while giving him the space to truly recover. This philosophy, if continued, could reshape how WWE handles injuries across the board, creating a healthier, more sustainable environment for its talent. The defining legacy of the game's response step back and the Paris incident feels like more than just another wrestling storyline. It's a defining test of Triple H's leadership. For years, fans and performers questioned how WWE would change once Vince McMahon stepped aside. Would it be more performer-friendly, more modern, more balanced between spectacle and reality? Clash in Paris provided the crucible. Triple H's furious reaction, his insistence on accountability, and his push for cultural reform through the Paris Protocol may become the hallmarks of his tenure. He has shown himself not as a detached executive, but as an engaged leader willing to draw lines, protect his roster, and adapt the product for a new era. By distinguishing between entertaining violence and dangerous assault, he has established the cultural DNA of his WWE. For wrestlers, it is both a warning and a reassurance. The show must go on, but not at the cost of their health. For fans, it rekindles the sense that WWE is living history, always evolving and responding to moments of crisis. This response may well be remembered years from now as the turning point when WWE embraced both its theatrical edge and its professional responsibility. Conclusion. The King of Kings draws the line. When Triple H saw Roman Reigns being stretchered out of Paris, he didn't just see a storyline moment. He saw a challenge to his leadership, his company, and his performers. His explosive reaction, anger at the lapses in security, outrage at the reckless attack, and determination to create new standards, wasn't just about one night. It was about setting the tone for the future. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker now face consequences that could shape their careers, while the locker room absorbs the message that WWE has entered a new era. Under Triple H, the company will still deliver the drama, spectacle, and intensity fans crave, but it will also draw firmer boundaries to protect its stars. This isn't the WWE of old. It's a WWE where professionalism and safety are part of the show's DNA. For Roman Reigns, the road to recovery continues, and his eventual return will be all the more powerful because of the care being taken now. For fans, Paris was shocking, but it also signaled growth. Wrestling Wildcards. The fallout from Clash in Paris isn't just about one attack, it's about a culture shift, a new standard, and a leader determined to protect both his performers and his product. The King of Kings has drawn his line, and the wrestling world will never look the same.